All right, we are in the middle of this massive, uninvited experiment in education, and it's all thanks to AI. But here's the twist, the paradox. What if the very tools that are making students look more successful are actually making them learn less? That's the AI learning paradox, and we're going to break it down. First things first, let's just get one thing straight. Ever since ChatGPT dropped, AI has become a permanent part of the classroom. I mean, it's not even a question of if students are using it anymore. It's all about how. Surveys from Europe all the way to the US show that a huge majority of students are using these tools for schoolwork, and that number is only going up. Okay, so this is where it gets really weird. Check this out. A study in Turkey looked at high school math students. The ones who used AI for practice, their scores on those exercises went through the roof, up a massive 48%. On the surface, you'd think, wow, this is amazing. But then, when it came time for the real closed-book exam, their scores actually plummeted by 17% compared to the kids who studied the old-fashioned way. They were performing better, but they were understanding less. And that right there is the core puzzle we have to solve. They're doing better on the homework, but worse on the test. How is that even possible? It feels like we're seeing success, but it's really just an illusion. This is the exact contradiction that has educators and researchers scrambling for answers. So, how does this actually happen? Well, the answer lies in this really powerful psychological phenomenon. It's what leads to this situation of success without understanding. And it's all driven by something called cognitive offloading. Cognitive offloading is basically when we hand over the heavy lifting, the thinking part, to a tool. Think about using a calculator for a simple math problem. But when it comes to complex learning, there's a real danger. Bypassing that productive struggle, that mental wrestling that actually builds real knowledge, well, that also bypasses the very process that creates long-term memories. You get the right answer now, but you don't build the pathways in your brain to remember it later. And the impact of this is just staggering. In one study, students wrote essays, some with AI, some without. Just 1 hour later, they were asked what they wrote. For the students who wrote it themselves, an overwhelming 89% could quote their own work. And for the AI group, only 12%. The information just didn't stick. And this chart from an OECD report really tells the story. Just look at why students say they're using AI. More than half use it just to get information, and almost a third, admit they use it for complete solutions. The pattern is crystal clear. It's being used for convenience, for shortcuts, and that is the classic setup for cognitive offloading. And the neuroscience? It backs this up completely. Brain scans are wild. They show that when a student thinks through a problem first and then uses AI, their brain is firing on all cylinders. It's in creation mode. But if they start with AI, their brain activity just shifts to simple supervision. They're basically just proofreading the machine. That initial cognitive spark is gone, and with it, memory formation just collapses. So does this mean it's the end of learning as we know it? No, not at all. It just means we have to completely reframe the conversation. The key question we have to ask is this: is AI a shortcut or is it a scaffold? It's not about the tool itself, but about rethinking its entire purpose in education. This quote just nails it. The intention behind how a tool is used, what they call the pedagogical purpose, that is everything. The very same AI can either completely undermine learning or it can supercharge it. The choice, it turns out, really lies with the educator. Think about it like a GPS, right? If you just blindly follow the turn-by-turn directions, you never actually learn your way around the city. You're just dependent. That's a shortcut. But if you look at the map first, get your bearings, and then use the GPS to confirm your route, you're actually building a mental map. That's a scaffold. Or hey, here's another one, the microwave. You can use it as a shortcut, right? Just to reheat leftovers. It completely replaces the skill of cooking. Or you could use it as a scaffold to thaw ingredients for a really complex meal you're cooking from scratch. See? Same exact tool, totally different outcomes, all based on your intent. So if the goal is to build these scaffolds, not just provide shortcuts, what does that actually look like in a classroom? Let's open up the new playbook and look at some real, on-the-ground strategies for making AI work for learning, not against it. Okay, probably the most powerful strategy is also the simplest. It's called the Brain First, AI Second protocol. It's easy. Students have to do the initial heavy lifting all by themselves. An outline, a first draft, whatever. That initial work gets time-stamped, submitted. Then, and only then, do they bring in AI to help them revise or expand or challenge their own ideas. The sequence is everything.
And this table here shows you exactly how assignments need to change. The old way, write an essay about the French Revolution, can be outsourced to an AI in literally 30 seconds. But look at the redesigned assignment. Critique this AI-generated essay. Find its errors. Now the focus shifts from just making something to actually thinking critically about the process. It's a total game changer.
And this all leads to some really crucial shifts. We have to start grading what students can actually remember and explain, not just the polished thing they turn in. We have to design homework that demands real thought. And this is a big one. We have to stop this endless cat and mouse game of AI detection and instead start designing tasks where AI is an open, integrated part of a real learning process. So when you boil it all down, we're at a crossroads. The choices we're making right now about how to use this technology, they're going to define the future of what it even means to learn. There are two really clear paths in front of us. Down one path, we chase this illusion of performance, and we end up with students who depend on tools and their own critical thinking skills just wither away. But down the other path, we intentionally design experiences that use AI as a powerful scaffold to build deeper, stronger skills that will actually last a lifetime. You see, this isn't really a debate about technology. It's a debate about teaching, about how the human brain actually learns. So the final question, really, is for all of us, for educators, for parents, for students. How are we going to design our classrooms and our assignments to make sure AI serves our thinking instead of just replacing it?